We're always looking to be responsive to the trends and the needs for childcare. So with respect to the ages of the children, or the larger families or smaller families, or different hours folks need for their jobs and those kinds of things. So it's just evolved with moving and growing and being responsive to the trends. Phoenix Day serves children 6 weeks through kindergarten for early childhood education. So we have 8 classrooms, and the children are divided by their developmental abilities as well as their age. So if a 1-year-old is walking versus a 1-year-old that's not walking, they're going to be in a different classroom. So again, we have 8 classrooms, and we work really hard to provide the curricula that licensing oversees for us. So we have bilingual classrooms, and we have bilingual curricula, and we work with our children at their developmental level. And we have a lead teacher in each classroom, and so the teachers meet to discuss the cases of the children as they move through the preschool. So our primary focus is early childhood education with a real emphasis on being kindergarten ready. So when our children leave Phoenix Day, they're ready to go in kindergarten.
So currently we have 70 children enrolled. We have a licensing capacity of 191, but we are accredited to use about half that. So our enrollment goal is to get to 120. So with that, each classroom has a different capacity and a different teacher-staff ratio based on ages and developmental stages.
Our goal, our mission is that every child, regardless of the ability of their family to pay, deserves a quality early childhood experience. And so that's why it's important that we are able to have such diversity here at a New Leaves Phoenix Day, because our children come from all walks of life, all kinds of different backgrounds. And so our mission, our goal, and our aim is always to serve children with a high quality education, regardless of their ability to pay or their background or their family status.
We provide an important service to the community in that we're not just a daycare. We're not just a child care center. We are early childhood education. So when we see the different learning domains, the developmental milestones, and the children are sitting down reading books, coloring, learning ABCs, numbers, learning to count in Spanish as well as English. It's very important because it gets those young minds ready for the next learning stages.
When I first came to Phoenix Day, I read a lot about the history because it intrigued me. It had been such a long history. Phoenix Day was, at that point, and still is, the longest continuously operating child care center in the state of Arizona. We started in 1915 in the basement of the Trinity Cathedral. And at that time, from my understanding and what I've read, there were about 10 children that were in the basement. It was in about that same year, from my reading, that the Junior Guild of Trinity Cathedral was formed. And a gentleman named Dean Scarlett asked if they would start fundraising for Phoenix Day, because as the United States was moving into World War I, the men in this community were leaving and the women were needing to go to work. So the Junior Guild of Trinity Cathedral became very engaged in fundraising as well as volunteering to take care of the children that were there. They recognized during that time there was a need to expand, and so they were really saving their money to plan in that direction. It was in the 1920s that Friendly House had approached the Junior Guild to see if they might be willing to establish a child care center for children of Mexican-American descent. And so the Junior Guild began doing that and established a site over on First Street, from what I understand. After that, the same thing happened with the African American community. Women, and it was particularly around the Grant Street area, Grant and First Street, that African American women were needing to also go to work and support the war effort, and asked the Junior Guild to establish a child care center there. One of the things that I have always been impressed with this organization is its love of children and the diversity that it embraces. And so it was in the 1930s, and you'll see in the pictures that I'm hoping that they have shared with you, pictures of children from all nationalities, all races, all having lunch together, all being cared for in the same facility. So it was in the 1930s that Phoenix Day became fully integrated. From all the reading that I have had, the Junior Guild was an amazing, energetic fundraising group, as well as individuals that loved children and really wanted the best. So it was in the late 1920s that the Junior Guild discovered that there were actually some ways that they could measure the quality of child care by joining the Federation of Day Nurseries, consequently Phoenix Day Nursery. So we weren't Phoenix Day, we were Phoenix Day Nursery that was established by the Junior Guild as a part of the Day Nursery Federation. That federation required that there be a doctor on staff. And so Phoenix Day had volunteer doctors from Trinity Cathedral that came to visit the children and checked and did well checks for them, and also checked their parents when there was some signs of illness. I have read that they stayed involved, very closely tied and involved through the 1950s when this building was built. And they turned their funds over to Trinity Cathedral to pass on to Phoenix Day, which had just incorporated as an organization. I understand that many of them continued as volunteers, and they continue, and what I've read is that they made bibs for the children. They made blankets for the children and clothes as we were opening the doors of this facility. This facility was new, so it met the new state standards. It was not as large as it is today. It had a full kitchen that was a safe and well-equipped kitchen. There were no other age groups that were accommodated here at first, but it allowed enough space that eventually Phoenix Day was able to also offer after-school care as well. One of the things that I think is really important about Phoenix Day was because of the diversity of children that we serve. Joan Gantz Cooney, who had graduated from high school at the North High School here in the Valley, and was at that point working for one of the news stations, decided to try to air a curriculum that was specifically for children on television. She chose 2 different locations to test it. One of the locations was New York City, and the other one was Phoenix Day. So it was in the 1970s that Joan Gantz Cooney used Phoenix Day as a test site for the Sesame Street show. And as you know, Sesame Street has also gone through a number of evolutions, and but its focus all along has been on diversity of children and making sure that all children had access to high quality educational efforts. So during my final few years here, we began to realize that our costs were increasing to the point where we were not able to increase our revenues through child care fees. And most of the families that we served were using DES to be able to subsidize their children, or First Things First scholarships, which did not pay for the cost of high quality. the board at that time was very committed to high quality, and so they made the very difficult decision, and actually maybe it wasn't so difficult, it was a very big choice to either merge or to close our doors, and the board chose to merge. We began looking around for the right organization. We chose an organization that had a similar philosophy to Phoenix Day, and it was A New Leaf. When we joined A New Leaf, we knew that it provided the infrastructure that Phoenix Day needed in order to decrease the cost to parents so that parents could continue bringing their children here at an affordable rate.
A New Leaf is a comprehensive human services organization. So we have over 35 programs, and we work with families experiencing crisis, anyone needing housing, behavioral health, any type of community services. We work with folks starting a business, and of course we work with families that have young children here at Phoenix Day. So one of our board members was involved with Phoenix Day. One of the New Leaf's board members was involved with Phoenix Day and came to us in 2017 and suggested that we look at forming a partnership or potentially acquiring Phoenix Day. And while we didn't have prior to Phoenix Day any kind of early childhood education programs, we certainly did have programs that served folks that had children that needed early childhood education. So we then began kind of a partnership and a relationship to where our board finally voted in the end of 17, beginning of 18, to merge with Phoenix Day. One of the reasons was certainly to expand our footprint. A New Leaf is historically known as serving the East Valley and the West Valley, but we didn't have any central locations until 17, and so we were excited about expanding our Phoenix market and learning about the folks that call Phoenix City home, and so that was a real plus for us.
Funding from the community has been essential to Phoenix Day. The cost of childcare is expensive, and everyone knows that. It costs about the same to send your child to childcare as it does to send them to college. And so having those donations allows places like Phoenix Day to have enough funds to provide high quality care. There's a real difference between childcare and high quality care. High quality care is the top of the mast. It is hiring teachers that are well educated. It's having equipment and furnishings that are appropriate for children. And the support of the community is essential. Throughout my entire time at Phoenix Day, a lot of time was spent bringing people on tours and showing them what we do, introducing them to the importance of early learning, and bringing businesses to the table. It was in 1997 that we embarked on a fundraising campaign. It was a $3.5 million campaign, which was not enough, but it was enough to to renovate this facility and to also add a health links program. So we had on this site health services, case management services, and we also had childcare. The reason that we needed to add those additional services was the change in this community. This community, when Phoenix Day started, was a vibrant part of Phoenix. Phoenix downtown was vibrant and where many wealthy people lived. As time went on, it was not so the case, and so as a result, Phoenix Day had a change in its population, it had a change in its neighborhood, and a real need to increase the funding level to be able to survive.
We have all kinds of opportunities for churches and any other kinds of organizations get involved with A New Leaf. Certainly monetary donations always help, but that's not the only thing that helps. We couldn't survive without our volunteers. So we have volunteers that do everything from filing, leading groups, working with the children, helping the teachers, having baby showers, for example, so that we get donations of diapers and baby items. And so there's lots of ways to get involved. We have an entire volunteer and donor department here at A New Leaf, and so all those interested parties go through that department. And again, if they want to come as a service group with their church, or they want to come individually, a few times a week to volunteer with any of our populations at our programs, we're happy to have them, and honestly, we couldn't do it without them.
I think it's important that Trinity Cathedral volunteers and its members continue to embrace the fact that Phoenix Day had its birth at Trinity Cathedral, and support in a way that could be through volunteerism, it could be through engaging with the children that are here, and making sure that people feel connected, whatever resources, social resources that Trinity Cathedral might have available, making those available to the families as well could be helpful. I think the population at Phoenix Day is very much the same as when I left a few years ago, which is a group of families that are really struggling. And any benefits that Trinity Cathedral could offer, from volunteerism to fundraising to just being engaged and coming by and visiting children, would be very important.